Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. Saturday, June 4th, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, Vito, our weekend man, with us as well. And our special guest today, Liam Hughes, joining the Ice Guys show. Liam, welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you played the last few years, and how are things?
Thank you. Appreciate you getting me on the show. It's a cool opportunity. I always love hopping on stuff like this, and even though it's rare for me, but I always love doing it. It's fun to talk and chat about myself a little bit, as everybody likes to do. I've been playing hockey since semi-professionally in junior in the WHL. 4 seasons there. Kind of got tossed around a little bit, but always found my way to play a lot and get an opportunity to play in good organizations. Then after that, went to school for a little bit during the COVID times, played for the Manitoba Moose during COVID. Unfortunately, didn't get a game in there, but real cool opportunity nevertheless. And next season following through, went to school again, and then halfway through, went to the ECHL, give myself a little opportunity for a pro spot, and wanted to see what I could do there, because obviously my whole life want to try my best to get into the NHL.
He's getting a call, I believe, or a text. That's what happened with Eddie the other day. There he is.
Sorry, anyways. And then things didn't work out too well, and just decided to hop over to the other side of the pond into the UK League in the IHL, which was a cool opportunity that presented itself. So real fun, and enjoying the off season a little bit so far. A little stressful, hoping something works out for myself next year.
Yeah, and right now you're in a state of flux, really, with that. Like, you're not sure what's going to happen, what's going to transpire next season. But as we were saying before the show started, you're leaving all options open and on the table right now.
Yeah, 100%. Just kind of seeing what's out there, seeing what's best for myself. Even myself and a buddy and I are just trying to figure something out to play together. We played 5 years together in junior school, and then kind of split apart. And went pro at the same time, and we're real good buddies and trying to figure something out in that sense, or whatever works out for us. So just trying to keep all options open and go from there.
Yep, that's a good approach, and see what ends up happening. Is that's the way you definitely want to go about it, no question. All right, so with that in mind, we've got Alex. Great betcast last night. I do want to mention that. Thanks to everyone for joining us. Reminder that Monday is going to be our next betcast for Game 4, Edmonton, Colorado, and Alex, we were hoping to get that over 5.5 at the end of that game last night. It didn't happen, but we got the both teams to score, and because both were plus price and the both teams to score was plus 155, it ended up being a profitable end of the betcast. And Rangers take a 2-0 series lead. Look, I'm not going to go into too much detail because we really recapped the game at the end of the betcast, but I'm just going to say they looked faster for a lot of that game last night. The Rangers, they were winning puck battles all over the ice, taking that 2-0 series lead. Again, it was a great night for some of the best Rangers players, including, of course, Mika Zibanejad scores once again. And for the Tampa Bay Lightning, John Cooper said it right in the press conference. Turnovers were an issue, not managing the puck well. There was that stretch of time where it looked like they could not get anything sustained in the offensive zone against the Rangers. They were stuck on 8 shots on goal halfway through the hockey game. So this is not a 9-day layoff thing anymore. Yeah, you could attach that to the Game 1 loss. This is a, hey, let's give the New York Rangers some credit thing. They're playing really well. Igor Shesterkin, they go on to win this series, get to the Stanley Cup final, and dare I say it, win it. They're going to look back at the incredible stop with about 50 seconds left to maintain that 3-2 lead last night for the Rangers. Incredible post-to-post lateral movement, something I'm sure our resident goalie on the show today, Liam Hughes, appreciates the play of Shesterkin, and I'm sure he'll say something about just the brilliance for Igor of the New York Rangers when he talks about the game last night. But definitely, he's been brilliant. He's outplayed Vasilevsky as well. And here we are, the Rangers up 2-0 in this series, Alex. And it's time to finally give this team their credit. And I'm fucking thrilled. Even though I'm not thrilled I lost with Tampa Bay last night in Game 2, the one thing I am thrilled about, I don't have to talk about that damn streak anymore. It's over. I don't have to hear about it. I don't have to say it. I don't have to think about it anymore. The 18-0 awful loss streak in the Stanley Cup playoffs is over. And if you listen to Cooper, he's kind of happy it's over too. I mean, he was not exactly thrilled about all the questions in the post-game press conference, oh, the streak's over, and he's like, we never go into the playoffs thinking we're never ever going to lose 2 in a row. That's the thing. I mean, that's a good way of putting it. But now people can finally, I think, shut their yap a bit about the streak. Alex, last night, some final thoughts on that.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, the Rangers, they've been outplaying Tampa. We thought it was, possibly the rust factor in game 1, but that clearly was not the case in game 2. Like you said, turnovers and mishandling the puck, things that you don't characteristically see from Tampa Bay. It's coming back to bite them in the ass at the wrong time. And now you got the Rangers with a 2-0 lead going on the road. And the thing that obviously now Tampa has to turn things up early in game 3. And it's an early start time, but they've got to come out guns blazing in that first 20 minutes of play. Otherwise, the Rangers can just kind of carry that momentum over. We talk about that, looking at a series from a storyboard form. The last 6 periods have been dominated by the Rangers for the most part. So if they can continue that momentum forward, take that with them on the road, who knows what could happen right now. And Tampa's kind of reeling a bit. And now you wonder, has some of the air been deflated from them? We talk about how much hockey they've played in the last 2 calendar years, as defending back-to-back champions. Maybe it's starting to catch up with them now. And now that they've had that time off, come back and lose against a team that's clearly faster, clearly playing them with a bit more physicality. Maybe things have caught up with them now, and this is the Rangers' time to strike it and move forward.
How much do the Tampa Bay Lightning push for, and how much does he himself push to return as well? And I'm talking about Brayden Point, who, they got through the Florida Panthers series without him, and it's shocking they swept Florida without him. And we were wondering, is at some point this team going to look like a team that maybe misses Brayden Point at some a portion of these playoffs? Well, now we've arrived at that portion of the playoffs where it looks like, hey, they could use a little bit of a jolt from a guy like Brayden Point, who is Mr. Stanley Cup playoffs for the Tampa Bay Lightning, scores big goals, plays plays hard on every shift. He doesn't take usually a night off or even a shift off. Again, gets you a big goal usually at playoff time. And now how quickly do they try at least to accelerate his return? Remember, that's a significant, it's definitely a severe injury, and it's one that can sometimes take a while to heal up. And they were thinking at some point in the Florida series he'd be back, and now we're day to day, and there's really no definitive timeline for his return. But you got to think and the one thing about Point, he's a very, very hard-nosed competitor. He wants to be in there. He will be chomping at the bit to push himself to try to get back on the ice and in the lineup at some point in this series, but still no telling when that will be. Vito, what did you think of the Rangers? They're up 2-0 and the Stanley Cup champs for the first time all playoffs. The Toronto series, they had a lot of adversity too, but they're definitely feeling it right now.
Well, Rangers, the best they have played all season. That's what you want, going into the playoffs, play the best hockey at that moment. But anyways, in the playoffs, what we have seen Rangers playing one good game, one bad game, especially in the Carolina series. So now they put up 2 great games. And, a lot of turnovers actually came from I will say, I can say like Kucherov, I don't think even if he scored a goal, I think a lot of turnovers from him. Just too casual with the puck, I checked. And, overall, Tampa doesn't look like engaged, in these 2 road games. I mean, Rangers were a better team, but I think John Cooper, he's just so confident in his guys. And that team is so confident that they easily can come out and win both at home, and we have, again, even series. So I would not overhype it too much, I would say. We all know what Tampa Bay can do. It's still Lightning. And let's see what happens at home. I think I already actually placed my bet. It's plus even money at Tampa in regulation in the game 3.
All right, there you go. So there you go, giving it away for tomorrow. That is Sunday afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern, that game. And definitely, look, Tampa Bay, it's obviously almost a must game for them. It's a must game for Edmonton tonight. We'll get into that in just a second.
Well,
but
maybe also that, in hockey, as we all talk always, you can never expect the same the next game. There's always something different happening. So now we had 2 games in a row with I would say, pretty equal performance from both teams. So Rangers are better, so I expect something to change in the next game.
Hey, at the same time, there's a lot of people that are all of a sudden, they've switched gears completely. There are some people, the same people on Twitter. That's what's so funny about people. Just 1 or 2 game sample size. The same people on Twitter that were saying Tampa in a sweep, Tampa in 5, Rangers played Pyotr Kochetkov and Antti Ranta and Louis Domingue and Casey DeSmith and all these weak goalies, and now they've got to play Igor Shesterkin. Tampa's going to run through them in 4 or 5. The same people that said that at the beginning of the series, you know what they're saying now? Rangers are going to win the series, and Tampa's done. I'm actually seeing human beings with a brain in their head doing this on Twitter that are just flipping course completely, that are going from Tampa's going to sweep, Tampa's going to win in 5, to now Tampa's got no shot. They're done, after the first 2 games of this series when they haven't even played a home game yet. And like I say, the series doesn't really begin until a home team loses. It's that old adage, let's give Tampa a chance to show us what they've got, in game 3 and in game 4 before we shovel dirt on their grave. That's all I'm trying to say. Does it look like they're in tough now? Absolutely. But are we going to say right now, really, with the 2-time defending champs, when they're going back home for the next 2 games down 2-0, that it's totally done, it's finished? No, it's crazy to say that.
Yeah, it's not over just yet, but that was a demoralizing loss. It wasn't a spiritually kind of uplifting where they can kind of hang their head and say, hey, you know what, we got beat by a better team, but we gave a pretty good effort. And that's what we're kind of talking about with this series coming up tonight too. Sometimes you go down 2-0. It depends on how you lose that second game. That really can kind of, like I said, that's where the carryover goes to, is this going to be a pretty balanced series, or does it seem to be kind of leaning one side to the other?
Yeah, exactly. Liam, what were your thoughts on the series overall and game 2 last night? Rangers taking a 2-0 series lead. And as a goalie, I'm sure you just marvel watching both of these goalies, but right now, especially Igor Shesterkin, who in my opinion outplayed Vasilevsky so far. He's been absolutely brilliant. I don't know what more you could ask for from him.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think during these playoffs, it comes down to your goalie, what goalie's playing the best. And that, honestly, you can see it from the last 2 years and even in previous probably 5 years. Every goalie that's won the playoffs, I'm guessing probably except the Pittsburgh Penguins run there where they use multiple goalies and Marc-Andre Fleury and Matt Murray. Vasilevsky takes his team on a run. And honestly, going back into kind of the earlier series when the Leafs and Tampa in Game 7, when Vasilevsky really turned it on, that's when things I thought were going to get scary for teams playing Tampa Bay, where I thought Vasilevsky was going to turn into this workhorse playoff goalie that he was in previous years, where he kind of found that click again and kind of got into his zone. And it's surprising to see in this series with New York here that he's kind of looked like he's not turned it off, but looks as focused. And I guess I could say that as the rest of the Tampa Bay team there. They're in the games, but it looks like there's a hungrier New York Rangers team that wants to win a little bit more than they do right now. And obviously 2 years in a row of going that deep into playoffs obviously takes tolls on teams. And kudos to Tampa, 3 years in a row getting to a conference final. That's impressive. But yeah, it looks like those New York Rangers under Gargalant, again, that coach has been deep in the playoffs before. And talking before the show here, they look like that Vegas Golden Knight team, a little bit of an underrated team where a lot of people, like you just said earlier on Twitter, are going, oh, they're done. They're out of here. That's it. I was the same way. Pittsburgh series, I'm like, oh, 3-1, they're done. It's over. Series is over. Crosby's going to show the boys how it's done. And Pittsburgh would move on, and that wasn't the case. They kept fighting adversity and getting through it. And it seems kind of how most teams get through is through their adversity. And especially for last night's game, watching it, that the Tampa looks slow. Also, that Rangers fans, like, they give them a boost. They're definitely in the game. But it'll be interesting tomorrow. How the Tampa Bay Lightning fans really get them back into the game, and we'll see. I mean, it's only 2-0. I've seen crazier teams down 3-0 or 3-1 where they come back and win 3 in a row and take over the series, right? So, like I said earlier, though, it's all up to the goalies. I think who's ever having a game, I think, can really steal a series and really take over and be a huge major factor, obviously, in a game, in a series, especially. And Igor Shesterkin, unbelievable goaltender, very, very talented laterally. I know kind of not proven in the playoffs, but he's really shown himself this year, and it's been impressive to watch as a goalie myself. And even Vasilevsky last series was it's like he couldn't even score on them. So it was a little interesting to see him coming in this Rangers series. Like I said, be not as strong as he is, obviously. Still incredible being as talented as he is. He's playing real well. I think just those Tampa Bay Lightning are giving up a little bit too many opportunities for such a caliber goalie, and not everybody can stop Chris Kreider, 50-goal scorer. Zibanejad, unbelievable scorer. I've seen many of his goals posting in, just incredible accuracy of 2 shooters. And I can't forget about Panarin. That's a player who's got a wicked shot, wicked one-timer. Just incredible shooters, and they call it the game of inches for a reason, and even the best goalies in the world can't stop caliber players like that. But Tampa's the same way, so they got incredible players themselves. I think if they just get a boost from home, and things in the series could shape up a lot differently.
That's a good way of putting it. I mean, definitely, and you're right. Zibanejad's had some absolute seeds in terms of some of these shots from him. They've been absolutely perfect, right up under the crossbar.
Yeah.
Perfectly placed shots. Multiple times he's had those kind of goals in this series. And as much as I was thrilled, by the way, to cash my best bet yesterday, Nikita Kucherov, anytime goal scorer, plus 190. And he scores, few minutes into the game to give Tampa Bay a 1-0 lead. As good as that was to cash that, as well as 12-1 shot that I took on him to be the first goal scorer of the game last night. He basically gave that goal right back to the Rangers in the third period. And it's just an awful turnover, and that's what Cooper said. And you hinted at it, Liam. Puck management, I think, has kind of hurt the Lightning a little bit here. I mean, it's not so much Vasilevsky just all of a sudden is human. It's that you're putting him in a position where, you're giving up just too much quality at times, like Kakko tipping it in. It was a brilliant pass from Fox, because Fox's pass broke down that defensive coverage. That's exactly what ended up happening.
Yeah,
it's not so much they broke down. It's that when Fox is going to jump up, thread the needle with that pass to Kakko, it's hard for the defense to do much about it. And that's exactly what happened. It was a perfect pass. Kakko with the tip, the deflection. And that's basically great playmaking by the Rangers, and the kind of stuff that even Vasilevsky really can't do much about. So some of it is, could he play a little bit better? Yeah. Some of it is, hey, don't give up some of these quality looks that the Rangers are getting right now.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree with that. I think kind of both play into that. Obviously, puck management. It's a whole 5-player team on the ice. Every 6 guys on the ice at one time. It's a whole team effort. You can't blame the goalie or really anybody at any moment. There's 4 or 5 other guys that can bail you out at one moment. But it looks like their puck management just not crisp. They're not getting pucks deep, not playing the right way. Obviously not the whole game, but there's moments where they kind of lack and look like they're lacking a little bit of, endurance and maybe focus. Not 100% sure what's going on. I mean, they did have a 9-day layoff, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a long time for golf and curricular activities after a series like that. So, there's a guy, Adam Fox. He's not talked about enough. Makar gets a little bit more of the spotlight than he does, but wow, he's an incredible player, and probably just not as close to Makar. Obviously, he's one of the best defensemen, probably, if not going to be the best defenseman to ever play the game at his caliber. And Adam Fox is right there with him. So you got to tip your hat sometimes to a player that makes an incredible pass like that. That was a sick goal. And you can't blame Vasilevsky, like you said. It's incredible pass. He looked like he's already facing a couple shots there, looking a little tired. And I think I even noticed him losing the puck sight where it was and kind of finding his angle.
Puck trickling behind him on one play. I remember that. And it's like, whoa, that's not like Vasilevsky to just leave the puck like that.
Yeah, kind of getting back into position. So it's just a beautiful goal, and can't blame Vasilevsky. And also you got to tip your hat off to a player like that who's making a pass with no room whatsoever and finding that player in that little slot where no one is. So incredible play. And I think again, those Tampa Bay Lightning getting back in their own barn, own atmosphere, and kind of getting back in the groove of things may change the series up a lot.
And will we see a Brayden Point sighting, at some point? No pun intended, actually. I thought of it. But will we see Brayden Point in this series? That's going to be interesting to see as we get back to Tampa.
Hope so. Incredible player, playoff player, like you guys talked about. Unbelievable. He comes in, plays his nuts off, never takes a shift off, never takes a game off, scores huge goals. And just a gritty player, gets in those corners, does the little things right. So he comes back, that could change the whole
in a series where they're losing a lot of puck battles. You know, you got a guy that wins puck battles, a lot of them, in Brayden Point.
He's a constant guy in the corners, winning puck battles, making sure that the puck gets back to his team and make sure that they can create offensive ability after him winning puck battles. And that's probably the biggest thing about the NHL playoffs, or even a hockey game, is winning your puck battles. Teams who want to get in those greasy, dirty areas a little more than the others. So it'll be interesting to see him come back. And if he does come back, I'm not too sure. Obviously, injuries in hockey are always up for question. Like we've seen earlier in playoffs this season, you didn't expect Tristan Jarry to come back, and
that's true.
Broken foot and stuff like that. So you never know. Maybe he does have a little bit of a comeback. They didn't want to bring him onto the road, and even not bring him
Lightning
back.
Fans are sure hoping you're right.
I'm on the same page. I'd like to see a little bit more of a tighter series out of both series, honestly. So obviously, I like more playoff hockey. I don't want to see it all end in 4 and then go to a Stanley Cup too quick. But can't complain about the quality of hockey we're watching.
Yep.
I think about Tampa a little bit. I think we talk a lot that they're tired and they like get pressed in their own zone. I think one of the things what they need to manage is better line shifts, because I have seen players playing for 1 minute, 1:30, and not changing. So that's why they look so slow. So that's what we haven't seen from Tampa a lot. So that's what they have to be better in third game. Just make 30, 40-second shifts. I think that's what the message from the coach. So we're gonna see Tampa blazing, I think, first period, as Alex said in the very beginning.
That's a great observation. You're right. How many times have I seen in the first 2 games, minute and a half, 2 minutes sometimes? There's been
Sergachev, he was super tired in one moment, and like some forwards, I saw Cirelli playing for minute 30. So that's too much, That's too much.
Yeah, no, definitely too much. Yeah, 1,000% correct. When your average shift length should be 30, 40 seconds. In most situations. So that is definitely far too much. And again, you get the gassed and you suck in dirty pond water, as the Pierre Maguire term from many years ago. That's exactly what happens when you're out on the ice that long. All right, so we'll see how that one goes. Game 3 in Tampa tomorrow afternoon. But before we get to that, tonight, the one game, of course, we go back to the Western Conference Final, Game 3, Colorado Avalanche, Edmonton Oilers, Colorado -130, road favorites in Edmonton, and the total still 7, even though we did have an under in Game 2, in that 4-0 shutout victory for the Avalanche. I honestly think we go back to goals here tonight. We saw obviously a massive 8-6 shootout in Game 1. We saw 4-0 Colorado in Game 2. And as I said, the last day or two, Colorado plays like they did in Game 2 in that 4-0 shutout. I don't want to say the perfect game, but damn close. That's what that was for the Avalanche. Nobody will beat them when they play that way. With that level, nobody will beat the Colorado Avalanche on the way to a Stanley Cup. No one will. But now, can they do that again is the question, because you would expect a significant amount of pushback here from the Oilers tonight. This is obviously a must from them. They're now going to have a chance to try to enjoy some home cooking, if you will, in front of the fans at Rogers Place. They're doing this big Spit and Chicklets meet and greet thing this weekend as well in Edmonton with Bissonnette and Ryan Whitney. So and the Chicklets crew. So that's going to get the aura, I guess, the atmosphere in Edmonton and around the arena even more amped up probably for this game tonight. So I'd expect a boisterous crowd. The Oilers to feed off it, especially early. Like I think Edmonton is good enough where they could throw a big early punch tonight here in this opening period. I do like Edmonton +105 in the first period. That's what you can get. It's probably the best price you can find right now with that first period is around +105. Some other books have around exactly even money +100. So make sure you shop around, but I do like them in the first period. I think I'm not the first period over guy that Alex is, but I could see the first period over being something to consider here. I also like both teams to score actually in the first period because I expect Edmonton to have a really fast flying start, but I still think Colorado could get on the board because as we've seen in this series, Edmonton pushes the play, which I expect them too early, down 2-0, but man, you leave yourself vulnerable at the other end. It would not shock me if even Colorado still gets on the scoreboard in the opening period. So there's actually 3 first period looks that I have here. I have Edmonton +105 first period. I have the both teams to score as well. in the first period, which is at around plus 125. They lowered the price a little bit now on this one, but I got plus 125, both teams to score first period in this one. And I'm going to go with a very rare, very small bet, by the way, on this one. First period correct score wager here for me. You can find this available at a lot of books. Bet365 is where I ended up betting it. But I'm going to go Edmonton 2-1, 10-1 first period score. So Edmonton 2, Colorado 1. Your score after the first period plus 1,000. So that's 10-1. Again, that's just a small play, but I think that is a plausible score. I could see the Oilers leading. I think Colorado can still get on the scoreboard. I think it's going to be a blistering breakneck pace early in this hockey game. Hell, it was a breakneck pace in the first period the other night, even though there wasn't a whole lot of goals. There were a boatload of chances here. Now, as far as goaltending goes, we don't have confirmation. I think they're leaning toward another shot for Mike Smith for Edmonton, which I like. I think giving him another game's fine. I think if you lose tonight, then maybe you could contemplate Mikko Koskinen in game 4 at that point. And that's someone that's backed up Smith from the beginning here, that I think finally you make the change if they lose tonight. We don't know anything more about Kemper. This is like a wait and see later in the day kind of thing with Darcy Kemper. Jared Bednar said it's day to day. We don't have any update yet. We're not sure. But even if he is good to go, my intuition tells me you're going to see Pavel Francouz again tonight for the Colorado Avalanche. Even if Kemper's feeling good, how do you not go back to a guy that just got a shutout, for you in game 2? I think there's going to be that mindset from Jared Bednar. Let's not rush it with Kemper. Let's make sure he's 100%. He might be already, but if he's not, certainly make sure he's ready. Let's go back to a guy that did play terrific for us in game 2 and got a shutout for us in Francouz. Here's the thing with Francouz, though. He has been good. He's been very good ever since he entered game 1. He was very good down the stretch of that game. Very good, obviously, in the shutout in game 2. How many great chances, though, did Edmonton get? Colorado was a stifling defensive machine that night in game 2. I don't think the high danger chances were all that much. And if you look at the expected goals for the game, Edmonton had barely over 1 expected goal for that hockey game in game 2. So they really didn't generate many quality looks. I think they're going to generate quality looks tonight. First of all, Jay Woodcroft's going to get the matchups he wants. Last line change being on home ice. You got to hope that stimulates Connor McDavid a little bit. And from a prop standpoint, this is a night I don't want to say load up on Connor McDavid, but he's one of those guys that he doesn't have to hear me yesterday screaming and yelling about how invisible and lack of an impact he made in game 2. He knows it. He knows, hey, that wasn't good enough for someone like me. I've got to be a whole lot better. I think tonight could be one of those. McDavid just tries to, really, really put his fingerprints all over this hockey game, whether it's an end-to-end rush, whether it's just, a little stick between the legs thing. Like, he's going to go, I think, batshit crazy from a motor standpoint and up the ante from an effort standpoint, because he's going to have to, because right now they're checking him well. Cale Makar with great stick position on multiple chances that McDavid had. I thought Makar defended him extremely well. This fourth line, like Cogliano and Helm, they've been hounding McDavid, especially in game 2. And they didn't give him any time, any space, any room to operate. But now I think on home ice, Woodcroft's going to have the chance to put McDavid out there in advantageous situations, having last line change. McDavid knows he's got to be better. It's not like he was awful in game 2, but he was very, very quiet. And from a player of his caliber, we do expect better. We've seen so much good from him, so much incredible play from him, that he's in a spot where when he has that kind of a game in game 2, or it's a little less than inspiring, it doesn't measure up. It's not good. It's not good enough for a guy like him, number 97. So I think tonight could be that night. So McDavid shots on goal even at 3.5. I think definitely he's going to be a willing shooter tonight. I think in this one, he's going to be willing to shoot the puck a lot. I think he knows this is the backs against the wall time for his Oilers. And I think you're going to see that kind of mindset. And usually he's a guy that'll look to pass. I think he's going to be looking to fire that puck early and often tonight. So I think the McDavid over 1.5 points is a good look. And I think the over shots on goal is the best look, because there's always that chance Francouz is, feeling it again like he did in game 2. So that the shots on goal prop means you can cash that and don't have to worry about whether the puck goes in the net. or not. So there's a couple more I got on this game, but let's get the other guys in there and give their thoughts first. Alex, we'll start with you. Game 3, Avs Oilers.
Yeah, this is a must-win game for Edmonton in this spot. Like I said, it's a different scenario than what we're seeing in the East with the Tampa and New York series. This is where Edmonton, and I think, like I said, I mentioned about how you lose game 2 makes a big difference. I think if the game 1 and game 2 were flip-flop, so basically we saw where Colorado dominates, and wins 4-0, and then you turn around and you see that crazy, frantic back and forth game, and Colorado gets away with an 8-6 win. If that was game 2, I would feel a lot more comfortable about looking at Edmonton. I probably would be on Edmonton money line in game 3. But the fact that it started off with that really frenetic kind of a game and going back and forth, and Smith getting pulled, and then we saw Kemper getting hurt, and those different just kind of things up and down, and then Colorado settling down, going with Francouz, him getting the shutout, Edmonton, like I said, all their stars basically being quiet, and Colorado skating off to a 4-0 win. That causes some concern for me looking toward Edmonton. If they're going to do anything, they've got to get off to a hot start. They've got to get things rolling in the first period. Like I said, McDavid's going to have to show up and be the guy. If he's, so everybody calls him the top player in the world, he's going to have to prove that, and he's going to prove that right away. I'm not one to really bet those combo props, but if you like Edmonton tonight, I would say bet McDavid to score a goal and Oilers to win the game. I'm sure it's going to pay much higher than just plus 110. And for them to win, he's got to make an impact. He's got to score a goal, in my opinion. The crowd's going to need that hype. The team's going to need that hype. And so he's got to really step it up with that performance. But as far as Colorado goes, we know it's Francouz and net. Kemper wasn't even at the morning skate. It was Eustace Annunen that was the backup. So as far as we know, and like I said, off of a shutout, you wouldn't be quick to switch him out anyway. So Francouz will get the start. And Colorado, I think they can kind of, not rest back and say, hey, we won 2 games, we're on the road. I'm pretty sure they want to, we saw them already sweep a team this postseason in Nashville. They know they want to keep their foot on the gas, try to wrap things up as quickly as possible, especially seeing, like I said, we talk about it in the different conference matchups in the first round. When you see a team eliminate somebody, those other teams that get to 3 wins, they know, hey, we need to take care of business because we don't want this team to get extra rest. We want to kind of keep on the same schedule and same pace. So I'm sure they're looking at the other side and saying, hey, Rangers are handling Tampa Bay. They jump out to a 3-0 lead or possibly sweep, then we need to take care of business too. We can get this thing rolling and not have to give them any extra advantage with rest or things of that nature. So Colorado's going to be focused. They're going to continue to play their game the way they do. I'm not worried about them at all. I like the first period over. I've had it in both games, but I have not betted at 2. At least I didn't in game 2, rather. I did in game 1. But I'm going to come back and wait for a 1.5 in game. And I'm willing to lay $1.30 or in that area with that, as opposed to trying to get 2 at minus $1.05 or even money. We've been able to get that. We haven't seen goals scored right away in the first 2-3 minutes like we saw in game 1. I expect to see a more slower, deliberate pace, especially if Edmonton, they want to try to at least, get to a strong start, but they don't need to get to a fast start. They want to start a track meet like they did in game 1 with Colorado, and then all of a sudden it's a breakneck pace, and then they find themselves down 2 or 3 goals. Because obviously they know their weakness they have in defense. They know Mike Smith's confidence is a bit rattled. He seems to be the guy that's going to go for game 3. We talked about that throughout the series where, if you pull Mike Smith again, chances are you're not going to see him the rest of the way. So you kind of have to really give him these starts early. And if he should falter in game, then you bring in Koskinen, but then you have to ride Koskinen the rest of the way out because, Smith's mental capacity just may not be there at this point if he gets pulled twice in a series. So I like Colorado here to win. I'm not on the side at all, and I'm staying away from that total. Like I said, I like the first period over, but I'm going to look for that in game and just kind of see what happens. Like I said, if Edmonton doesn't get off to a hot start in the first period, then this kind of seems like it'd be Colorado's game and Colorado's series to take it for.
Yeah, that's why I'm pumping the brakes on full game. I want, give me a good first period, Edmonton. Then maybe let's see if I can trust you for a full game, because I think this is not a situation where I envision them, if they're down, a goal or 2 or 3 after the first period, that they're winning this game. It's got to be from the start that you see Edmonton have a good start. Like they did have a lead early in game 1, but that lead lasted and the lead was gone. So that's the issue for Edmonton. They haven't played from in front very often in this series for very long. So that would be something that I think that would benefit them, get the lead, because it's obviously a much better situation when you're playing from in front than playing from behind. But again, I think in the first period you're going to see, with that crowd behind them, I do think they're going to be on the front foot more. Darnell Nurse has to play better. I don't even care that he's from Hamilton, and I back him up time and time again, but even I can't deny how poor of a game that was from him. Terrible, awful. I mean, multiple giveaways, multiple turnovers, getting beaten up the ice for transition on rush chances, 2-on-1s, and he was on the ice for all 3 Colorado goals in that explosion in the second period in game 2. So it was a rough game from him. He needs to be a whole lot better. And look, that's the concern I had for Edmonton coming into the series, is the rest of the blue line. If Nurse doesn't play well, who do you hang your hat on defensively on that blue line? Cece? So, been bounced around, couldn't cut the mustard in Ottawa and Toronto, and you're going to rely on him now in Edmonton. You've got frickin' Duncan Keith at the tail end of his career when his best days are behind him. You've got Evan Bouchard, an offensive-minded defenseman who's not necessarily the best in his own end. Tyson Barrie, ditto. Same thing, more of an offensive-minded defenseman, not always great in his own end. And you've got Brett Kulak, who they got at the deadline, who's just a depth defenseman from Montreal. That's the issue for Edmonton, is that when Darnell Nurse plays a bad game, which he can't afford to because of the rest of the blue line, what it is, that's when you really see what happened in game 2 for the Edmonton Oilers. So it really falls on Nurse. I mean, he is the best they've got. He can't have a game like he had in game 2. There's just no chance for that blue line, no shot for them to be competent on the back end if Darnell Nurse is going to struggle. So it's going to have to start with him tonight here in game 3. Vito, what do you think here, Avs Oilers?
Yeah, well, I guess just keep the momentum going, and just to add a little bit about the defense. And actually, have it right to say defense or defense?
I say defense. Yeah.
Me too. I think also
the hockey folks from Canada will often say the defense, but I say defense.
I always say defenseman, but I say defense as in like the general idea of
Yeah, I don't say defenseman. No, of course, defenseman, but I say defense. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, so the defense, talking about defensemen from Oilers.
A little grammar lesson here on the Ice Guys for Saturday. Yeah.
During the playoffs, all these 3 pairs, Nurse, Cece, Keith, Bouchard, and Kulak, Barrie, they have 3 expected goals per 60. So that's too much, That's 3 goals per 60 expected to score on all of 3 pairs, And what's covering that performance is that they have a little bit more expected goals. But why? Because McDavid and offense was exploding. That's what is covering these high numbers on defense, on the defense for Oilers. That's too much numbers. And if Smith is not playing well, it all goes to crap. Just because, well,
that's a good way to put it. Yeah, it all goes to crap. Yeah.
And if you look at how Avalanche have this Taves Makar, which is I think absolutely the best pairing of defensemen at the moment. They also play actually 44% of all the time. If Oilers play balanced, pretty much those all the Avs, they have top heavy on Taves and Makar, and then there are Johnson, Manson, Johnson, Byram. All of them have expected goals less than 2. So imagine just a goal less per 60 for defensemen from Avalanche. And overall, they're just better. The structure of the team. They might have more depth, I would say. And yeah, well, talking about forward lines, I mean, now let's talk about McDavid. If you just shut down one guy from that team, the team is done. Because why? Basically, if you watch him before this series, Oilers had played 202 minutes without McDavid. And with McDavid on the ice, they have scored 23 goals. Without McDavid, 5 goals. I mean, that's a high difference. That's 5. I mean, that's too much, And also, so basically with McDavid on the ice, it's 23 goals scored, 8 goals allowed. And if you shut down that guy, I mean, that's it. The Oilers are struggling pretty much. And also that how Woodcroft plays those lineups, he puts really top on the top 6 very, very hard minutes. I mean, he plays McDavid line, Kane, and Draisaitl. Then he plays Nugent Hopkins, Hyman, someone else, and he switches wingers a lot, but 2 center minds, McDavid plays 52% of ice time. That's more than a half game. And then he plays Nugent Hopkins for 26%, and like Ryan Line plays only 4% of ice time. So that's the way you want to play that Oilers offense. I think you have to give the most minutes to McDavid and get him rolling, So Woodcroft is doing great job, I would say, overall. So just this McDavid time, if he's gonna show up or not today. I think that is the question here. If we just look at the power plays, PK, which is also very important. I mean, Avalanche is doing amazing. They're a little bit bad numbers on PK, so maybe today after Francouz getting that shutout, I mean, of course, when Francouz stepped in, Avs little bit we saw changed the game, and that was that easy for them. They went from a high octane offense there and back. They went to and shut the game down, give only one expected goal throughout the game to Oilers. So credit to Avs, this was well played. So now they have to do the same again with Francouz in the net. And who knows about Francouz? This looks like, sometimes this one injury, a backup steps in, makes another shutout, and goes to the cup. Well, we have seen many things. Well, maybe not from Francouz, but you never know. You never know. There's Hamburger and everyone who stepped up sometimes from nowhere. But yeah, well, talking about this game, I totally would agree on from the betting side what to bet. That first period over, just maybe we're gonna see Oilers, I think, giving their best in the first period. So -0.5, maybe goal. You can try to go with Oilers. It's plus 190, plus 120, or plus 200, I think, something like that. So first period, Oilers to win. I think, Ian, you are going with that, right?
I'm going with that, but safer. You're going for the puck line, I think, -0.5, plus 190 on Edmonton in the first period. I'm going to be safer, plus 105 money line, so that if it's tied after the first period, I'll push. I'll get the money back. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I will maybe also, maybe offer that to guys as well. Well, we don't have it actually here in my books, this kind of a bet. We have only 3-way lines on
Oh, yes.
the first period. So tough outing, but it is what it is. So, yeah. I would go with that. I think Oilers can get to a hot start, even and get some goals, as you said, Ian. I would agree with that. Also, wait a little bit and bet that first period over 1.5. Also, great opportunity. Overall, to game, I can see this maybe being like 3-2 game. Somewhere in the third period, let's say 7th or 8th minute, it could be like 3-2. I can see that. So maybe under 7. 7 is still a lot of goals. Even we have seen the 14 goals in the first game, then 4 only. But still, 7 for me is a lot of goals in hockey, I think. So overall, I would lean over under, because I think this can end like 4-2, 5-2 maybe. And first period over 1.5 goal is definitely a great look. And Oilers to win the first period.
There you go. All right, Oilers to win the first period, plus 190 over. I think it's 2 right now, but you could wait for 1.5 if you want in game. I think that's what Alex is doing.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think the 2-1 Edmonton first period correct score is worth a look. I think that is very, very possible. And it's 10-1 plus 1,000. I think that's, a couple bucks on that. And if it wins for you, it pays off pretty nicely. And I always chuckle. I always chuckle when I hear Vito call Hammond hamburger all the time. Yeah, it's just, yeah. Which is you don't even call him Hammond. You just call Andrew Hammond. You call him just Hamburger because they threw the hamburgers on the ice years ago when he was with Ottawa. Yeah, it's just Andrew Hamburger. As far as Vito is concerned, Liam, what do you think here? Edmonton hosting Colorado, Game 3.
Yeah, it's going to be a surprising game. I think it could honestly go both ways. Those Avalanche are a tough team, man. They're playing real well, good hockey right now. They look really hungry. I think kind of going back to that saying like the Gargalant and the New York Ranger kind of acting like the Vegas Golden Knights. These Colorado Avalanche are very much like the Washington Capitals, where back in 2018, where they're hungry as hell. They want to win. They want this cup. Kind of like Ovi. It's taken McKinnon, Landeskog, Rannon a little bit longer to get that cup, to kind of get pushed through that final stretch. And I think they may do it this year. They're looking real strong in both these 2 games that they played previously. Previous series kind of ran through that. St. Louis did give them a little bit of a scare, and just ran through the Minnesota Wild. So they're looking like those Washington Capitals back in 2018, where they're kind of just going. They're a rock going down a mountain. They're steamrolling through, taking everything out in sight, and they're an interesting team to watch right now. But tonight, those Oilers, the Spit and Chiclet boys, like you said, they're in town. I've seen some videos. it looks crazy in that city. It looks like the city could erupt.
You
If
mean
they
they're not
score.
having fun in Edmonton
Oh,
with Biz and Whitney there? I mean, you got to be kidding me. You don't say. Yeah.
Close to buying a flight to get up there. Look, it looks incredible. All my friends that are up there, I see their videos and whatnot. So the city's on rampage. If there's a goal within 5 minutes, I think Rogers Center building. I think it might fall down. It's going to be in a hectic game. The crowd, the whole city, pretty much on edge to see how the Oilers take it. But to kind of get into digest the series and the players. I think the first game, the Oilers came up flat. I think the elevation does play a little bit of a factor into those games. Obviously, they went early and whatnot, but from what I've heard and seen and read, game one, it was kind of a test each other out, see where they're at. Obviously, the controversial offside goal kind of probably didn't change the game. It counted. It is what it is, but the Oilers need to be touched up defensively. I think they're letting too many shots get through, not covering up, not blocking shots, not selling their bodies. I'm not even going to pinpoint it on a player. I think it's every guy just needs to sell out their bodies a little more to get in front of those pucks, because that Colorado Avalanche team's a bunch of shooters. They've got probably 5+ guys who can pinpoint a shot and get it through, and especially Makar and how talented he is. Best defenseman, like I said earlier, and probably the world right now. One of the best players in the world right now. Nevertheless, they just got to sell their bodies a little more. I think defensively, I think they have the offensive power. Guys like Hyman kind of sitting and planting his post. He's basically a second post right now for Connor McDavid to hit, and he just stuffs it right back in there. Hyman, he does. And Yamamoto's been real nice. Kind of had a softer season, and then this playoffs his real came out strong. So
Questionable for tonight, by the way, Yamamoto with the upper body injury from the last game, the hit he took. Yep.
Yeah, right. But in previous, he's been their offense has been solid. Just touching back on their whole team, just being offensively depth. They've had it all. They're from top 4 lines. Same with Colorado, though. Same thing. So I think it's just down to a defensive and goalie battle. I like Mike Smith. I love his game. Very athletic, very competitive, wanting to win. Plays the puck real well. So I don't want to put the blame on all of them throughout the series. I think, again, like I touched on, they're not selling their bodies, not blocking enough shots. I think that wins a lot of series. I was watching. I think I noticed in the other series over with New York, you see every player just blocking shots, and even with the Tampa Bay Lightning, their captain Steven Stamkos. I remember even in the previous series with them in Florida, how many guys went down that tunnel, and that's what takes a team to go all the way and win the whole thing, right? You got to have your captain, your whole team essentially taking their bodies and jumping in front of pucks and taking shots from the point and blocking those lanes. So I think it's just going to come down again to defensive. Who's ever got the best defense in this series? I think Edmonton, you're right. Like you said earlier with Nurse, it kind of relies on him if he shows up or not. And last 2 games, he kind of hasn't, and been kind of scared to block a shot, it looks like, and not get in the way. But
there are people hinting that he's hurt. I sure hope so. I sure hope part of the reason he was that bad in game 2 was that he was injured.
Yeah, well, it's
not that I want him to be injured.
Everybody,
you know what I mean? Yeah.
You hope, you'd think most guys during this time of year, you figure everybody's kind of banged up in one way or another, but who knows how significant and where it is. And you can tell when he's not looking to block a shot. That's kind of where he's been lacking.
That's kind of the tell sign. Yeah. Telltale sign.
Yeah. Just kind of scared to get in the way of things and take a hit. But I like his game. I do like Nurse's game. Tough, mean, good in front of the net. Just kind of seems like he's a little bit out of it, but could be due to injury. I think it's hard to play when you're feeling something on your body that's painful and you're thinking about it while you're playing or even on the bench. And it's hard to focus and stay into the game when you're focusing on injuries. And get over to Colorado. Yeah, I think they've kind of struggled a little bit goaltending wise in this. Frank, I can't say his name. Francouz, French name. Yeah. Can't get those. He came in the first game, played fantastic. Came in the second game, shutout. Obviously, you got to go back to him. You can't. If you're a coach in any league, you never ever should go flip flop that. That brings a mental battle on the goalie that's in itself, and just go with the flow. You know, the goalie's riding hot. You let him keep going until it's not. So, you want to see it happen tonight for him again. And like you said, I think the Avalanche played a perfect game, and I'm hoping that they'll keep pulling through. I want to see the McKinnon and the finals for myself, but I think I said earlier to myself, seeing a little bit more playoff. I'd like to see the Oilers win. It's going to be a tough game for the Colorado to come in there and steamroll over them. So all in all, I think it's going to come down to defensive battle tonight. Whoever's got the better defense and better structure to their game coming out of their own end. So, and that's been the case for Colorado. They've been structurally, defensively 10 times better than any team in all playoffs. Maybe New York has an up for their running, but should be good. Should be an interesting game tonight. I'm excited to watch, and I'm kind of rooting for the Oilers in a way, just to kind of, like I said, see more hockey. But
yeah, make it a closure series. Yeah,
yeah.
Sounds like you're leading Colorado though a little bit. Yeah,
a little more Colorado and myself. I think those Oilers, like I said, you want to see those top end players like sell their bodies a little more. I don't think you deserve to win a Stanley Cup without taking a few big block shots and selling your body as much as Colorado has, and even New York and teams and even Tampa
does
that want to get through, and they know what it takes. So I think the Oilers are just missing that. Sell your body, win a couple more puck battles, be a little cleaner, touching up with the puck, not giving it away, too many turnovers. And if they can clean that up tonight, I think game one, if they win one game, things again, both series 2-0, one win in their home barns, and teams could look the series could look a lot differently both ways. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes from here.
Yeah, McDavid's going to be McDavid and Nurse. There you go. For Edmonton. McDavid and Nurse. If those two guys don't play well tonight, it's 3-0 Colorado after tonight. That's what it boils down to. Nurse has to show up on that blue line. He can't say, you know what, I can take an off night. I can be soft. I can be bad defensively because I can rely on, back in the day with Anaheim when they won a cup. Niedermayer sucked one night. Oh, that's okay. I've got Chris Pronger here on this blue line. Or if Pronger stunk, I've got Niedermayer. And they had a bunch of really good defensemen that year. They were loaded on the back end. With Edmonton, when Nurse doesn't play, their bell cow defenseman, who am I going to say? I look over. Who's going to step up and be big for me if I suck tonight? Oh, Cody Ceci couldn't cut it with Ottawa. Couldn't cut it with Toronto. He's going to be good. Oh, Duncan Keith at almost 40. He's going to be good. Evan Bouchard, who makes turnovers in his own end. Tyson Barrie, same thing. They don't block a ton of shots either. Who the hell's stepping up if Darnell Nurse doesn't play well? He looks over and he sees a bunch of question marks. That's what I see on this Edmonton blue line. That's why it's so important for Darnell Nurse to play well tonight and bounce back strong for game 2. Sure. And it goes without saying for McDavid. Like, McDavid had no time, no space to do anything in game 2. And you have to credit the checking and the defensive play by Colorado on him. But at the same time, we've seen the McDavid gear before, where it's this gear that only he can play at. And he's got to find a way to get there tonight. Maybe he tried to get there in game 2. Could have fooled me. With what we saw from him in game 2. But he's got to find that McDavid gear, that gear where nothing can be done to try to contain him. And that's what he's going to have to bring to the ice tonight in Edmonton. Maybe he's not capable. Maybe Colorado's checking him and defending him that well. He's not capable of getting to that McDavid gear tonight. Yeah. But I've got to believe, he knows he's got to have one of those like games that he had against LA. You remember the team was desperate and they were very much in trouble late in that LA Kings series in the first round, and McDavid just went postal on their ass. That's exactly what he did. He did it in game 6. He did it in game 7, and he was just dominating all over the ice. But here's the problem. Colorado is a little bit better than LA. With all due respect to the Kings, who had a nice season, he's got to be able to do it now. It might be a little bit more difficult to do it now because you've got people that can skate with McDavid defensively on this Colorado team. Everywhere. They're just loaded with speed up front. They're loaded with speed and, speed demons, speed merchants on the back end as well. And as a result, that's why McDavid's having a harder time, getting his space to make plays with the puck because they can skate with him. They can stick with him a little bit better. Even when he does, drive it into overgear, puts it into overdrive, I should say, and goes 110 miles per hour, which we know McDavid can do with that stride and that burst that he has. Colorado can keep up with that stride. Colorado can keep up with that burst that he brings a lot more than other teams. He's got to try to find it, though. He's got to try to overcome those, concerns.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I think Colorado, they're used to playing those guys because in their own practices they got Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar. They're coming down their wings and buzzing by them. They're used to caliber players of that speed. So, and for sure, McDavid can take over a series 100%. We've seen it in Series 1 against the Kings. We've seen it in Series 2 against the Flames, where Draisaitl and him take over the series and get 3-4 points a night and obviously set records of themselves. Incredible last series against the Flames and how they just took over the series completely themselves. And it didn't even matter how much goals got scored on them in a night. It was stupid how many goals they're scoring. So that they need Connor McDavid needs to come tonight and play. Needs to come tonight and play. But it's difficult when you got a team against you that practices against similar caliber players every day.
They can simulate it more, right?
So they're used to it. They know what to expect. Obviously, Connor McDavid has that twitch in his brain where he goes, "No, I'm the best player in the world, and he can't stop me." So I think that's kind of where he's leaded tonight. I hope I could see it happening. I'm excited to watch this first period, see how that goes. And again, I want to see that building erupt. I love seeing sites like that. It's always exciting. That's why I love the playoffs. The crowds get a little more into it. But I could see the Oilers winning tonight for sure. I do. I think McDavid, Syria, he wants to win. You can tell. Doesn't matter what everybody else is doing. He just wants everybody in on one page and push him forward. And he's that player that can take the series in his own hands and choose what he wants to do with it. So it'll be interesting. I'm super excited. I think, like I said, it's all down to defensive systems, and we really proved last game against each other how defensive and how talented those Colorado Avalanche D-core is, where in that one play itself where Makar stayed with McDavid in the same speed. And we all know that McDavid coming up that fast on you one-on-one, he's embarrassed some really talented hockey players in that same scenario as usual. And Makar just
he was literally swatting him like a fly with the stick.
Like
he was driving down the ice, and there's Makar just swatted the puck right off his stick.
Looked like he was at his 9-to-5 job, doing it as usual. So it looked like it was too easy for him, honestly. So it'll be real interesting tonight. I think Oilers probably have a little bit of the edge on them, obviously in their own building, down 2-0. They're hungry. They're horny for a win, as Biz says. A little more horny than the opposing. So I think if you're not amped up for this game as a fan, as a player, as an Oiler fan, an Oiler player, there's something wrong with you. This is when was the last time they went to the third round of the conference final? I couldn't even tell you. 06. I would have been
went to the cup final that year.
I would have been 6 years old. So I wouldn't even have known what happened then. So
Michael Pekka, Chris Pronger, Fernando Pisani, stuff of legend. He scored an overtime winner against Carolina.
Right.
Some of the players, they had a young Rafi Torres on that team.
Right.
It was that's going back in time. Wow.
That's quite a bit a while ago. So I think the Oilers fans know they know how hard it is to get to those areas, get to that time of year in the third round of the conference final, know how difficult it is after, especially with their Gretzky runs. Even like you just said, in 06, it's difficult. So I think they're a little more appreciative, and that's why they're a little bit more hungry for this game. Colorado, I think the same thing. But yeah, again, I don't know if you can't get up for this one, Oilers fans and Oilers players, there's something wrong with you. You shouldn't be playing hockey.
That's right. 100% right.
Game.
Yep. You got to find a way.
About Oilers as well, I think a little bit we're overperforming against Calgary. To say, I think like those stats which showed and that line especially, I think that was, we cannot see it sustain that, of all the time, and also they played Kings and they played Flames, those teams are not like very Flames maybe are offensive minded, but the D-man don't pitch, as you said, so much. And the Oilers,
The whistles look like they're going away. I noticed in round 1 and 2, they're calling sickening calls. I couldn't even believe some of the penalties they were getting on teams. And then these two third rounds here in the conference finals, it looks like the whistles are completely gone, and that kills McDavid and Draisaitl and that Oilers team where they thrive off of power plays. That they're watching their power plays like watching. I don't even know how to describe it. It's like watching bread and butter, just smooth and clean and easy. It's probably the best power play in the whole league. So you take that away from a team, that takes away a goal or two per night potentially. Taking the whistles away from that type of team where they need the offense, they need the power plays. I think you're right on page. I think that was kind of like a glorified series, the last 2 rounds where they're getting their power plays, their opportunities, and those have gone away. So, but you never know. I think McDavid's proved to do it 5-on-5. Same with Draisaitl. So we'll see. But again, those whistles are gone. So those power play opportunities are limited.
Yeah, they got to draw some. Get on that power play definitely tonight. Prop wise, and then we'll wrap it up with best bets. Hyman. Someone was asking about shot props. I'm on Hyman goal, Hyman point, Hyman shots on goal over. He is definitely going to have a night, I think, and make an impact. And he's the one guy that will, because his work ethic and his motor never, ever stops, Zach Hyman. So he's my favorite Oiler prop tonight. I like McDavid shots, even if it's 3.5, minus 160, 70 in some spots. And some books actually have it at 4.5 as well, plus 125 or so. So shop around. You could lay the juice like I did on the over 3.5, or you could go over 4.5 plus 120. I think he's going to shoot the puck a lot tonight because McDavid knows he has to. It's 2-0, backs against the wall. So I like Hyman shots on goal over, McDavid shots on goal over. I think Rantanen's been shooting the puck a lot in this series. I think he's a good shots on goal over look, and Kadri as well, I think, for Colorado. So I would put 2 aside. Kadri, Rantanen for Colorado, Hyman and McDavid for Edmonton in terms of shots on goal overs. Those are the favorites I like for both sides, 2 for each team here tonight. And as I said, Hyman to score a goal and get a point. I think that's a good one. McDavid over 1.5 points. Let me just see what it is for that. I like that as well. Over 1.5, minus 140. Connor McDavid over 1.5 points. Like, it's got to be him tonight. It's got to be number 97 making an impact tonight for the Edmonton Oilers if they're going to win this game and try to get back in this series. All right, great stuff. Great analysis. Great breakdown. Fun discussion with Vito, Alex, and our special guest, Liam Hughes. And Liam, thanks for joining us today. We'll wrap things up with best bets in just a second. First, of course, DraftKings Sportsbook, official sports betting partner of the NHL. New customers can bet just $1 on any NHL team, get $150 in free bets if they win. If DraftKings Sportsbook isn't available in your state, you can play for huge cash prizes with DraftKings Daily Fantasy Hockey Contests. DraftKings giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, sign up for an account, use the promo code THPN, bet just $1 on any NHL team, and get $150 in free bets if they win. That's promo code THPN at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Must be 21 years of age or older. Must reside in a DraftKings Sportsbook state. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Download the DraftKings app. Sign up for an account. Use the promo code THPN. All right, best bets to wrap it up for this Saturday edition of the Ice Guys. Reminder, we're going to be back tomorrow. It'll be me, Vito, and Alex tomorrow at noon Eastern, and we'll get ready for the matinee affair with the Lightning and the Rangers down in Tampa tomorrow. So Sunday, we'll be back with you tomorrow at noon Eastern. All right, best bets. We'll start with Alex. What do you like for best bet?
Yeah, so it's not a pregame bet. It's this would be an in-game wager. Looking at the over 1.5 in the first period. Anything at minus $1.35 or better, I would say fire away with, because you don't obviously want to take up too much time waiting for a plus price, and then all of a sudden you get a goal, and that 1.5 is gone. So my target range would be 135, looking for a live first period over 1.5.
This is a target bet here for Alex B. Smith. Over 1.5. He's going to look for that at a better price. That's exactly what I'm doing, actually, for the full game total as well. Like, I'm not taking it at 7. I'm going to look for 6.5. Hell, maybe even you'll find a 5.5 if we definitely have a period of time with no goals, but definitely going to look for something better in game with the over. That's also my plan of attack and my strategy here for Game 3 tonight as well. All right, Vito, what do you like for best bet?
Yeah, we'll go right back to that first period as well. And let's go to some higher price. Let's go to that plus 200 for the Oilers to minus a goal, right? To win the first period, basically. That would be my best bet for tonight. And if somebody would like to add, maybe I like that under 7. I think that's a lot of goals. I think this game can end like 4-2. So under 7 also is a great look.
There you go. Under 7, honorable mention. And Edmonton, plus 200. That's minus a half, plus 200 in the first period for Vito with his best bet. Liam, great job. I mean, really, really good discussion, analysis from you. Great job on the show. Thanks for joining us. And I got to say this because, by the way, follow Liam. Liam is on Twitter at Liam Hughes 133 on Twitter. And I just happened to notice the tweet at the top of his timeline right now. Someone tweeted, someone offers you $500,000 per year for life to not watch basketball ever again. Could you do it? And Liam responds, I do it for free every day. So there you go.
Yeah, not a big
Savage, my friend, on the sport of basketball. My goodness. Not a fan, clearly.
I don't hate basketball. It's just boring to me. I can't get into it. I don't know what it is. Maybe when what is their title? What do you call it? The
NBA Finals?
The NBA Final, their trophy, last game.
Larry O'Brien.
I'll watch that game. I don't know. Never got into it. I'm a big I played baseball growing up and soccer and hockey, so I wasn't a huge basketball kid. I'm kind of like Ryan Whitney in it. Same thing. I'm a big Ryan Whitney fan, so I like his takes on it. It's kind of funny, but I could get into it. Maybe
That's like me with soccer. Although I
couldn't watch soccer. Yeah.
Softened on soccer with Canada actually doing well and going to the World Cup.
I can't
kind of
watch
got
soccer.
me into it a little bit. I got to admit.
Yeah, soccer's another sport. I don't know how they watch it, but I mean, I went to one game in England. It was unreal. It was really cool. I bet the same thing for basketball.
It's much better live. Much better live than on television.
Kind of like baseball. You can't watch it. It's kind of boring on TV. Then you go to a game, you get to experience the food, the atmosphere, and the people there. So I'm sure it's the same way. I've been to one basketball game when I was probably like 6 years old, but I don't remember that too well. So yeah, I'm just joking around. Not a hater of basketball, just not the biggest fan. Hockey's
nothing wrong with that. Like I say, there's sports I hate, and I'd answer it the same way. Like I do it for free every day. You couldn't pay me to watch it. There's cricket is one. I don't know I don't even understand cricket. So from that standpoint, it's just impossible for me.
The British people love it, and I tried getting explained by them, and I'm like, they play for like 3 days.
Yeah,
from sun up to sundown.
The fact that they break at halftime or an intermission in a cricket match, and they for a tea party, or they have some tea or some shit. I mean, that's just party. I'm out. Sorry, I'm out.
I don't know how. It seems fun, but I don't know. That's crazy, man. 3 days.
Not interested.
Take 3 days. Oh.
As soon as I hear you're playing a competitive sport and you're an intense sport, big match against a team maybe you don't like, and I'm hearing you're taking a fucking break to have a sip of tea. I mean, you got to be shitting me.
It's like €500 or £500, €500 to go. It's like a weekend thing. They go the whole weekend and watch cricket, and the scores are like 500 to like something. I don't even remember. It's crazy though. I couldn't believe it. I thought cricket was just like a 3-hour game and you score as much as points as you can. I thought it was kind of like baseball, but it is, but it isn't. 3 days long of baseball. Holy.
Yeah.
Couldn't do that.
You think baseball is a long sport and a long match and a long game?
Cricket.
Nothing on cricket.
So
I have no clue how it works at all. No. I've tried, I've looked, but no. I'm not interested enough to try any further. That's good. All right, Liam, let's have your best bet. What do you like most tonight?
I think, like you said, the Oilers are coming out hot. They're coming out real hot tonight. If you're not up for this game as an Oilers fan, an Oilers player, I don't know what's wrong. I don't know, something wrong with you. They're going to come out hot this first period, probably score 1 or 2 goals. And then I think, honestly, the Colorado Avalanche, they're going to come out with the win in the end of the day. I think they have it. I think it could be a close game. But I think the Colorado Avalanche are going to take over after the second period and cool them off and really set the tone the rest of the game. Just defensively, offensively, they're just going to take over.
There you go. Colorado minus. That's why I like Edmonton first period. because I think an Edmonton first period win and them losing the game is something it would not totally shock me to see that happen.
No.
Because Colorado is that good, and they could easily come back in a game, and they've been good on the road. They're actually 5-0 in the playoffs on the road.
Oh,
They won
geez.
both games in Nashville. They won all 3 games in St. Louis in the second round as well. So they've been a good road team. So Colorado minus 130 is what Liam's going with. That's why I feel more secure about Edmonton first period tonight compared to full games, which is a great segue to my best bet, which is indeed Edmonton plus 105 first period. I'm going to bank on them coming out strong because they have to. If it's not going to happen for them in the first 20 minutes, it's probably not going to happen for them at all tonight. So Edmonton plus 105 first period for me for a best bet here on this Saturday slate. Richard Farley, do they read that? I try to read the chat. I'm just not good at keeping up with it. I'll be honest. I'm in and out with the chat, more out than in.
Yeah,
so.
I've been typing with the chat. So
yeah. But yeah, Alex definitely is more involved. But we try to, and we bring up the. You got to bring it too. Like it's got to be a comment that stands out and it's worth reading about on the show. So, and by the way, Terry Edelman has appeared in our chat. Terry, hope you're doing well, and we'll give you your credit right now where it's due. I mean, he said the Rangers would end that Tampa streak, that 18-0 streak off a loss. He was shouting it from the rooftops, so to speak, on Twitter. The last couple days, and he was able to do that. So the Rangers were able to get it done. So great job there by Terry saying that would happen. All right, that's the show. Oh, Liam's Twitter is at Liam Hughes 133. Someone was asking. So there you go. If you want to follow Liam Hughes on Twitter. Great show. Awesome stuff. Awesome conversation about both conference finals. Liam, just some final words from you before we say goodbye.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys having me on. It was a pleasure chatting to y'all. Yeah, let's go Oilers, but I know it's going to be tough for them. I'm on the Oilers bandwagon a little bit, but more so Avalanche. I know they're too good. It's too good to be true. So anyways, thanks again, guys. I appreciate it.
All right, awesome stuff. Great to have you. All right, that's the wrap for the Saturday show. Hit the like button to everybody watching here in the chat. And a reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form in all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex P. Smith, for Vito, and for our special guest, Liam Hughes, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Saturday. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will be back tomorrow, noon Eastern time, once again on Sunday for another edition of the Ice Guys presented by the Hockey Podcast Network.